What's your name?
My name is Binord Francis, and you can call me Rex. Most people call me Rex. My friends call me Rex. Or if you would rather call me Heraclitus, I would appreciate that.
So can you tell us more about yourself?
Well, I've already mentioned my name. Well, I'm a tech guy, and I'm into cybersecurity, software development. I'm into machine learning and AI because I'm a machine learning and AI engineer. I'm also a researcher and a writer, an academic writer per se. I'm pretty much an intellectualist, actually.
Where did you grow up? And what is one experience from that environment that it shapes how you see people today?
Okay, well, I grew up in a suburb here in Abuja, Nigeria. It's a ghetto area, and ghetto areas are characterized by making people to live in the survival mode because it's more or less like the survival of the fittest. So it tends to make me to be more defensive. Whenever I address or confront people, I tend to be more defensive as against being confrontative.
Tell us about the time you did the right thing, even though it cost you something.
Well, during my university days, I got into trouble, a very big trouble that threatens my continuity, the continuity of my education. Where I had an opportunity to bail myself out, but I realized that, well, isn't the right thing at that point. And I decided to do the right thing, which is to accept my punishment as is, because I deserved it.
What belief did you once hold stubbornly that life itself, not argument, force you to?
Well, growing up, I thought that life is unidimensional. I thought that life is deterministic in nature. For every A, no, for every B, there is an A. One can easily trace back to A. Therefore, for every A, one can easily determine B. That was the sort of life, that was the ideology I had growing up. But life itself taught me that life isn't so unidimensional at all. Sometimes life could be multifaceted, it could be multidimensional, such that A doesn't necessarily translate into B, A can translate into M. In fact, A can translate into a summation of F, C, and R.
What personal failure taught you the most about your own limits?
Well, see, I've laid down series of groundworks and plan in the course of my life, built from my initial idea of a deterministic world where, oh, if I do this, therefore this. The lecturers are supposed to be successful, but I've had series of groundworks that actually showed me that it is being intelligent doesn't necessarily translate into success in the real world. Sometimes it is more complex than that, and I had no idea, but well, here I am today. I have better understanding.
Who in your life do you disagree with deeply but still respect, and why?
Yes, well, on the hearing of that question, the first person that comes to mind was Karl Marx, even though I just recently know him when I read the Communist Manifesto. A friend of mine who is a political scientist, his name is Kinsley, he introduced me to the Communist Manifesto, and I delved deeper into it. I disagree with most of his ideologies, most of his points that he mentioned in the manifesto. But I could see the intellectual work he put in place to arrive at that conclusion, and I respect him for that. But I disagree with his idea of a perfect world, a utopian society.
Was there ever a time, seriously, people who admire you tend to misunderstand about you?
So many people admire my intellectual ability, but well, most people would say that I'm simply suffering from imposter syndrome, in the sense that I believe that I do not measure up to the level that people think I am that intelligent. I feel like people have a misjudged opinion about my intellectual capacity. I am intelligent, yes, but not to the point that people usually think I am. I think it's a misrepresentation of my actual intellectual capacity, and I believe that eventually people will get to, or maybe not, or maybe I'm wrong myself. Who knows? I don't know, but I feel like it's they misunderstood me in that level.
Was there ever a time you seriously question what gives your life meaning?
Religion. I grew up in a religious family, but at some point I became an agnostic. I think during that point I ventured into theoretical physics, advanced physics, and there were so many questions I had, but there was no answer. I began to question the idea of a supernatural being, And yes, I began to question reality itself.
If young people today copied your way of living, not your words, but your habit, what kind of society would that create?
Well, I do not consider myself to. Well, actually, should people should follow my footsteps. We don't have a society of nonchalant people. I have this nonchalant attitude, and it is bad for society. I just the effect of my nonchalantness is limited because of the zero sum nature of the world. Other people are not nonchalant, so it cancel out my own. Yeah.
The last question right here, Mr. Rex. Who is your favorite author and scholar?
Well, my favorite author is Fyodor Dostoevsky. He is a 19th century author from Russia. I like him a lot. And my favorite book was actually Crime and Punishment, and also Notes from the Underground. And my favorite scholar, if by scholar you meant scientist, that would be Isaac Newton.
Thank you for a wonderful time.
Thank you very much.